We did hips, and we started with isolation work just to understand where our center was and whether we're using our upper body, right, versus just isolating the hips, and talking about bending the knees for more range of motion and still engaging and lifting through the center, but not so much that we can't isolate the hips. There's a balance between how much you engage, right, and where you're engaging. Okay, then we went through several different ideas. Idea one was hitting your hip to the side, okay? So I could do it really super tiny. I could lift it up or side, right? If I go to the side and make it bigger, I likely shift a little bit of weight onto that foot, which is totally fine. And that can become a little basic, a little hip hit to the side basic, right? Okay, then we did curves, right? And taking this U-shape basic, okay, and adding on an extra hip, right? And to exaggerate it, I can actually lead with my upper body, which creates this more of an S version rather than just my hips isolated hula girl style, right? So I've got the S shape here. Okay, and we can of course play with that, big, small, etc. Okay, then I believe we did fishtails from there. So we talked about this last week about the pivot and the step back. And here I wanted you to notice, right, is your whole body going? Or is your heart and upper body facing forward while your lower body pivots, right? So you can do some twisting exercises to get that flexibility. And we talked about playing with traveling, right? I could travel my fishtails back or forward, and that can give you a little bit more range of motion. I forgot also the hip hits. We also did level changes, so introducing level changes on top of anything, okay? Then I believe we did hip circles, I think was next. There may have been something I'm missing. And we talked about noticing whether you're tilting, right, or keeping it more level. And starting, I know, no, we did this next. Which was a little bit of a knee drop. There wasn't a lot of twisting, Applejack style. Knee drops forward, and specifically we're talking about shifting your weight and shifting your weight into the bent leg and pushing through the floor, right? Pushing through the floor just like you push off to take any step, right? We're pushing through. Okay, then we did hip circles, right? And we said that if you're doing it with a partner, often you associate with your upper body with your lower body. So if you're just doing this, your partner won't feel it. But here we can do it together, okay? So it's more mess around. Then we did a grind, which was a lift of the hip. And we noticed that sometimes we're lifting the leg. So can we keep our legs relaxed and really just move from the hip and the obliques, right? Is where the movement's originating. Then we did a mooch. Mooch was a horizontal half circle, but I'm using that dig in the floor to push around and create that half circle, right? And I can still move backwards, we can travel around with that, okay? Then the last thing was just playing around with everything, right? You can always take any piece, like fishtail, I can add an extra hit, or maybe add a little extra pivot, right? Or maybe I take my hip circle and I do it once and I go the other way, right? So you can layer on different ideas. That's it.